Oh no. Everybody on the internet is watching Wonder Woman 84. So I subscribed to HBOMax for 3 hours and watched it. So, it's Calcat, the Calcaster, and this is a review of Wonder Woman 84. Yeah, I paid a full price. It was technically a one-time subscription thing, but the movie cost about as much as the DVD probably would, so... and there's nothing else on there. The Snyder Cut's not up yet. Probably next summer, late spring. That's pretty. And they'll go back to it for that. Unless it comes out on DVD, and I'll just get it there. Probably will. I have not seen the new Twin Peaks, so I'll have to see that. I understand that I can get that on Prime, so that's fine. So that's fine. I can do that. Yeah, Wonder Woman 84, sequel to the it came out about 5 years ago or so, the first one, something like that. Same director. Yeah, set in 1984, and it has of course, I was a kid back then in '84, so I remember a lot about the other stuff. The TV show Wonder Woman was on in reruns at that point. I owned the box set. Yeah. So yeah, there's the plot, or basic plot. There's plot spoilers right away, and everybody's spoiling it on the internet. So, in terms of what it's doing, it isn't doing so well because the theater just literally came out yesterday. And so, but it came out in some theaters, even though the COVID's going on. Those theaters are way up. There's one down south and one up north. Not going to the theater to see that. Not gonna risk that, of course. So, anyway, the premise is that it's 84, and there's Diana Princess set herself up as an archaeologist. And she has a friend who is sort of a ditzy, clumsy, sort of blonde character. And kind of like Selena Kyle from Batman 2. Story ends up being kind of like Superman and Superman 2, and that we have this sort of Lex Luthor type guy that wants to take over the world. Lord is his name. Very, very silly in character. Also, clearly a riff on Donald Trump. Really obviously. Like, like, okay. That's cool. Make fun of him, why not? But yeah, I didn't say his name, but it's clearly what they were trying to spoof. But yeah, and he wants to take over the world. He's a shyster character who allegedly has all this oil that he really doesn't have. And his backers want to leave him, and he's got a little half Mexican son, I guess, that keeps coming in, and he doesn't end up being a Kenny like in Brandon Tenold's story. Not a Kenny, not really. He doesn't do anything to save the world or anything. Doesn't do anything for the plot really, except for kind of the end. But then, is he really saving the world, or is he just whatever? Yeah, they're the archaeologist lady, pretty lady. They get into a scuffle. There's a sort of a creeper chasing them. Comes after the girl. In the same way as Superman 2, there was a jerky bad guy that confronted Clark Kent when he didn't have his powers, and then later on he beats up the jerky person. It's the same thing. Very similar to Superman. And Superman is also DC, so very similar idea going on there. You just know he's going to come back later, and and she's going to get him because you just know that's going to happen. Just to annoy the leftover crowd of the anti-Me Too movement, anti-SJW people. Just to annoy them. She has girl power. I don't mind. It's fine. They can have that was. I mean, it's about Wonder Woman. She's supposed to be all powerful. Also, the original Wonder Woman was kind of into a sadomasochism and tying people up. The original concept was quite kinky and thrilling for the late 30s. Anyway, so yeah, that was kinky. But then yeah, in the 70s there was a comic book code and all that, and they took a lot of that out so that she last one to tell the truth and that kind of thing. And bracelets and all that. Weird flying jet bomber thing. There were interesting oddities. Interestingly enough, they did not screw up. They filmed a scene in the Smithsonian. They did not screw up and film the Washington Museum, Washington State, Tukwala Museums instead. They didn't do that. It appears that they actually filmed it at the Smithsonian, or at least a mock-up of it. And so when they run outside onto the tarmac, they don't necessarily end up in a desert, because there's no desert around the Smithsonian. It's a city. City's next to it. Yeah, I watched it, and I was there in '83, so I don't know if it's changed any since then. But no, there's no desert there. When I was a kid. Anyway, yeah, so okay, so they didn't mess that up. The Michael Bay movie, they jump into a desert immediately upon the Decepticon Skyfarer leaving. That's not in this one. Here we have characters. Strangely, there's a lot of soft talking in it. There's a lot of slow parts in it. They discover a wishing stone, although the stone looks like a elixir bottle, and it has a ring around it. It looks like an old Aladdin lamp type of thing. So, okay, they're going to do the Aladdin lamp genie thing. Okay, they're going to do that. They're going to do the Sherazade tale thing / Aladdin thing. Although Aladdin was not a Sherazade tale. Aladdin was, they say he was given credit for it, but no, he wasn't. He didn't write. He wrote 1001 Nights, and the other one wasn't an Arabian Nights tale. It was something else. Anyway, so this story's kind of taking off that. There's a clear nod to the Arab Emirates of the time, spoofing that. There's one guy wants to wish his way out of kicking all of the immigrants out of his village. There's a wall goes up. There's a lot of subtlety. Not subtlety at all. It's like, well, I think they're referring to the Palestine wall. But yeah, that's not at all subtle. And so the wishing stone inadvertently falls into the hands of Diana, because she's an archaeologist. She inadvertently wishes to have Steve Trevor return, not realizing that's what's happened. And yeah, while her nerdy friend becomes superpowered and gets her powers from wishing it and becomes confident, and she slowly loses her powers but still has some of them and does a bunch of amazing things. Well, the girl's got her powers back. She beats up on the bad guy from before. Probably killed him. Yeah. So, but eventually the blonde girl gets her confidence and sleeps with the super rich guy, and then they don't show it, but it's definitely implied. And Wonder Woman, meanwhile, meets up with Steve Trevor, who's come out of nowhere, and she, not once does she figure something's amiss here, which is weird. There's something. Why is he now suddenly back and not like 90 years old, and not like 1970, about 90. Why is he not ancient, and why is he back? They never address that. He's just back. You think she'd be all, oh shoot, I wished that, didn't I? I probably shouldn't have done that. So it does open with a fantastic racy. She's a little girl's a Jedi. Little Diana Prince is a Jedi. She rides on a horse and go on a quest, go racing around and stuff in this big arena thing, and then goes out. And they're shooting arrows into the different colored arrows, and there's a big test. And She's like what, 10 or something, or 12, and she of course wins. Well, actually, she doesn't. She doesn't win because the other one because she fell off her horse and then cheated and cut down the side of the hill. Lost. So she was sort of a Jedi, but sort of not. And then we cut to her motivations, I guess, for the idea of selfish motivations for wanting. Trevor kind of goes with that a little bit. And that she selfishly wanted to win. Her hubris got to her. So she wanted to win the dude as well. So it's connected. Meanwhile, the girl who becomes the cheetah later on is she goes to lift some weights, gets all strong. Then she beats up the bad guy, and then meanwhile, and Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor are going to Smithsonian, try to figure things out. Where's the wishing thing? They can't find it. The other girl's looking for it, but she can't find it. They figure out the rich guy probably took it. So they go to him, and he basically says, "I took it, and I absorbed it somehow," and like this, which doesn't make sense. And then they go to they go on a quest. They have Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor go on a quest. That's when they go to the Smithsonian. That's when they get on a jet, and that's when she thinks she has powers to make the jet appear invisible, so it becomes invisible, which in the theaters would have looked amazing. But as a 4th of July scene before that, but when they're flying over the thing, invisible, so they can escape the radar. Radar invisible. But yeah, 2-seater bomber plane of some kind that they took, which had fuel in it, parked at the Smithsonian. And it was all ready to go, prepped and fueled and ready, and they never show them landing. Kind of like in Ninja Turtles Out of the Shells, where they parachute down into the jungle from the plane and you never see them get home. They just do. In this case, they get to Arabia, which is standing in for Egypt for some reason. It's Cairo, it's Egypt. They show the pyramids. It's not it's Egypt. But apparently they're all in that universe. It's all kind of connected together, kind of like Transformers. There's a lot of Transformers allusions in here. Transformers 2 did the same thing. We'll ignore the country of Jordan. We'll ignore Israel entirely and just go from Jordan to Egypt. We'll ignore Yemen and all those other countries. We'll just get you there. Sure, there. Okay. Doesn't matter. There's kind of stuff in the way there that they would encounter. There was a Indiana Jones type action scene with military vehicles chasing them and everything. They were going after the rich guy. The rich guy manages to grant wishes for people, which is weird. And then in response, he gets something from them. Gradually, each person goes higher and higher up the ladder. He tries to make himself more famous. Trump. And he eventually, he meets up with the Arab guy who causes a wall to form between the two groups. It's supposed to be Palestine, probably. They say that they're in the wrong place, but then again, it's an actual story where all of the Middle East seems to be in one spot near the pyramids. No, that's not really technically. I mean, that anyway. So, So Wonder Woman. So they have an Indiana Jones type fight scene that under cars and undercarriages and things. Very cool, well done fight scene. I'm assuming it's a combination of stunt work and CG and other stuff. Done better than in Resident Evil 4 when somebody got injured. Different movie. There's a lot of these scenes look like they're scenes in other movies. The whole idea of someone losing their powers, the superhero losing their powers to the other one, the cheetah. The girl's going to become the cheetah. Spoiler. Superman 2, basically. And if Lois Lane got Superman's powers. Or they had the evil Krypton villains. Oh, it's still DC, so it's fine. Anyway, so they mention David Deers. She chose. Somehow they get back from the fight sequence back to the Washington D.C. They don't show how they got back. Did they land that plane somewhere and no one captured it or anything? They just got back in and went. Later on, she develops the ability to fly like Superman. So Wonder Woman has the ability to fly. Apparently, she's a demigod because she's supposed to be. But the wish thing goes crazy though, and eventually the guy ends up at the White House where the nukes and all that stuff. The guy playing Reagan doesn't sound anything like Ronald Reagan. He sounds more like Jimmy Carter, with a little Nixon thrown in. It's supposed to be Reagan. And if you're going to do a Ronald Reagan imitation, it has to sound a little like Dr. McCoy from Star Trek. Only Dr. McCoy sounds a bit more like this. Spock, Jim, remember, I'm Spock, I'm a country doctor. But Reagan, he's got more of a raspy voice. He's not quite Rubber Fuzzy Face, but kind of. Rubber Fuzzy Face is a little more. A spicy meatball. He's Marlon Brando. He's doing things. Whereas Christopher Walken voice would be more New Yorkie, sort of. Tony Soprano would be more like that. So Vincent Vega, from the Royale with cheese, which is not a real thing. I know. I would know. Nowhere in Europe is the Royale with cheese a thing. Nowhere. Anyway, so as long as they had a Royale with cheese. Even the Whopper, even the Burger King over there, it's a Whopper. Quarter pounder is a quarter pounder. Even over there. Because they don't have, it isn't that they don't have pounds, it's that, well, they have pounds, they're just called something else. A pound is a coin instead. So that's just what they call it. American quarter pounder. Yes. But the chips are different. They're not French fries, they're chips and they're weirdly shaped. Yeah, yes. And they have more tea than coffee. Yes. Tea flavor. English breakfast. Yes. Anyway, so yes. Tea. You can get coffee in France. French McDonald's. Yes. Anyway, so, but it's not called that either over there. Anyway, so, in Japan, is it coffee and energy drinks. And you get fruit cup instead of fries. Well, fruit. That's interesting. Well, we don't have fried French fries here. Anyway, so or rice, which is interesting. You get rice instead of fries. But yeah, so excellent. So and yeah. Now back to Wonder Woman. Okay, they get back to really quickly. They get back to DC. They do their thing. They got Cheetah Lady transforming into Cheetah running around. They have secret guy has taken over the presidency, but only to broadcast. He doesn't want to take over the world. He wants to broadcast to the world their wishes so they can wish him more powerful somehow, and somehow that works. And he's taken over the satellite station, a la GoldenEye, which is a James Bond movie, and a little bit of Lex Luthor and a little bit of in that one, and a little bit of Edward Nygma from Batman Forever, and he's got control of the TVs everywhere. And he's giving them wishes. There was a funny gag where these two misanthrope hick people are in a house, a slummy house, and the guy. The wife says to the guy, I wish you'd go back to your mother. And he goes, well, I wish you was dead. And both of them go, that was actually funny. That was funny. Their wishes were instantly granted, and they were like, ah. That was funny. Yeah. So, is there a couple of Pacing-wise, the pacing is a little better than the first one. But not as much fun as the first one, I think. Generally more kitschy and odd. There's a clothing dress-up scene, very similar to the other one. So as we, I have only seen that Stone Gremlins and Channel Awesome covered it, so now I'm covering it, and I think Fat Man Beyond covered it. Batman Beyond, and that's what it's called. It's Kevin Smith, Mark Bernard, and so I had to cover it. So yeah, before they, what's my take on it? Before I watch theirs, because they'll give stuff away. Brad Jones and his wife reviewed it. It starts out with him. All I watched was 5 minutes where they're complaining about watching other movies. He woke her up in the middle of the night to watch movies, so she was annoyed by that. It's funny, but yeah, the story, the big climactic showdown thing. She mentions Adira's armor. I might be saying that wrong. The armor lady, and Arena or Adira. Well, if it's Arena, it's copying Starship locations, and I don't think they're going there with that at all. I don't think it's that. I don't think this one is actually copying them at all. I don't think they've read it. No. DC usually doesn't, but Marvel tends to look at our stuff. As well as Paramount. But yeah, so we have, but not DC so much. Let's see, so we have, they were going back to the final showdown. She's flying through the air. They tell her about the armor. She's flying through the air in her regular costume. When she arrives to fight at the satellite thing, and there's lightning and rain and stuff, and it's dark again, like the ending of the first Wonder Woman remake movie, and it's hard to tell what's going on because they thought it looks more dramatic to have it dark. Again, they shouldn't do that because you can't tell what's going on. So she's got her armor on, so she's all shiny, which has the effect of putting on the shiny armor, which is all glowy and stuff, and if it was light out, but let's make it look dull and gray and dingy, so you can't tell what it is. Yeah, I didn't think that out too well. Let's put this shiny costume on and then film it in the mud, the rain, water slashing on it and stuff. Let's make it a little bit Snydery. Yeah. She fights her to the death, or sort of a thing. Interrupted video ever. But I'm still rolling. So we have. Yeah, that fight scene was just odd, and then she uses his wishes against him to. She magic lassoed him, even though he was pushing her away. The lasso got through and lassoed his leg, and he's like, He realizes that all these weird flashbacks happen through his childhood. He's like an Ebenezer Scrooge type of character, so it's like a Scrooge thing. He was for want when he was a child, and bad stuff happened to him. So it's similar to the Cheetah Girl, but so that's why they clicked, I guess. There was a scene where she was in the sack with, or Wonder Woman was in the sack with a boyfriend, Steve Trevor, and there was a scene of that, but they didn't really show anything. They just were in the sack. It does beg the question: why would she want a man? They're raised on the Themyscira Island, or the Isle of Man, or whatever. Various versions of that island are called from DC. They're all raised. They don't have. I don't know where they get the males from. They mentioned her father at one point, but how did that work? Wasn't she made out of clay at one point? Yeah, so they retconned some of it, or something, or they were raised up from the heavens as statues or something. I don't know. But yeah, they wouldn't want any men. So why does she have a boyfriend? Why would she ever have a boyfriend? I mean, she would just be like, no, I don't need that. but yeah. Question about the first one. A couple of years ago. Why does she have a boyfriend? Anyway, so that would defeat the purpose of the entire movie, or at least one of the larger plot points. Very long movie. It's over 2 hours and 30 minutes. Yeah. So, yeah, I got the impression that some of the early reviewers, or little 5-minute snippets of their videos I clicked on, that it was a mixed bag. I wouldn't say it is. I would say it's, in places, it's fine. I think it's Black Critic and Outer Critic liked it enough that, it's not a nostalgia critic, that it's not, they didn't dislike it. Maybe they're just afraid to dislike it. I don't know. But no, now the first Wonder Woman movie did have a problematic third act. This one suffers from the same problematic third act play thing. Problem being that it's just too dang dark and you can't tell what's going on. There's lots of things getting blown up everywhere, and all this mess and chaos is going on. And it does beg the question in the story, like what even though there are some lit scenes, like, did this have a rewrite where they rewrote the last part of the story to include the guy going to the satellite thing, and that really didn't happen in the original? Because it kind of seemed like they rewrote something. The fight in the White House with the cops is sort of losing her power. How does that work? It seems to be very wildly inconsistent, the wishing machine, and how that works, and like the trickster gods or whatever. How does that work? It brings up more questions than it does answers. And then they go to visit, one point, a Mayan guy and ask him about like how why it's destroying civilization or over connecting it to the Bactoons and things or something. I understand that they started writing a third script for a third movie, and they threw it away a couple months ago. They said, "No, we don't like this. The script is bad." I wonder what it was. It was probably worse. No. So yeah, is Wonder Woman 84 worth $14.99 on HBOMax? No connection to HBOMax other than just having Xfinity and not really having HBO. I had to go separately and look up HBOMax. It's probably worth owning on DVD for that price, just in your collection. But and considering how high theater prices were getting toward the beginning of COVID, last January, February, theater prices were almost $11 a ticket. So it practically would have been this, with inflation and whatnot, it would have been $14 to go to see it if the theaters were open. So, with all extras and stuff. Yeah, and if you buy theater food, it would be well over 20, if not 40. But yeah, the theaters weren't doing so hot. The Eastridge one was practically vacant when we were doing some of the movies over there, and ran into some of the other YouTube critics. The only people watching the movies when we went to go and see them was, oh, there's a YouTube critic. There's another one. There was like 4 or 5 of us in that Kevin Smith movie. It was hilarious. We're all just, but yeah, we're not professional, mind you, not professional. I'll say, oh, you're not a professional, you're a critic, you're not a doctor of critiquing movies. Oh, well, I do have a bachelor's degree in English, BA in English, and another BA in journalism, so I guess that makes me kind of qualified to do YouTube videos. Yeah. And I've done 800 of them, so learned by experience. A little over 800 of them, or more if you count the ones that were taken down. But yeah, and on the other channel, 300s. And on the other channels, and the other channel. Clinton Cowpo took the other legacy channels out, and now they're out too, and we're going to put stuff on them. So I just say, yeah, 3 stars. Not the best thing ever. I mean, I think I gave the first one 3.5, so I think it's so this one's 3, so not as good as the first one. There were a lot of long parts where they could have taken stuff out or explained it or tightened the script, the story. They were saying something about that too. Tighten the script. I think Brad Jones was saying something about it. He said they needed to tighten the script. The script needed, they needed to take some stuff out that didn't need to be there, and they needed to explain other stuff that wasn't there. But do stay for the end credits because they have they have a stinger. And spoilers, they have a stinger because they didn't introduce Adira just to introduce Adira. Yeah, it's not Cal Cat. I'm in that one. No, it's not Cal Cat. Not the Smithsonian scene. The one where they filmed it in. There was some scenes they filmed in LA. Yeah, and then there were some other ones that looked like the Bay Area a little bit, but they probably weren't. I don't know. Maybe they were. But yeah, that was not Arabia or Egypt or whatever. It just was supposed to look like it. But the stain is they got Linda Carter back. She has a cameo as Adira. And it was like, yes, all right. There's your extra point just for that. They got Linda Carter back. Which begs the question, is she the Adira from the late 60s, early 70s Wonder Woman show? And she's like not Wonder Woman from the Wonder Woman show. She'd be her mom or her trainer or something. Because that'd be kind of cool. Because she's 30 years older now. 35 years older now. So she's somebody else. Ooh, so it's, yeah. She saved somebody. Kid. Now, not too many kitties. And it's one of the first, like, the other one, they killed the evil, like, villain lady and blew her up at the end. This one, they sort of don't kill the villains. They renounce their wishes at the end, and they kind of go away, and then they have the one guy get back to his son, and he apologizes. I think a movie like this needs a little comeuppance, though. He almost destroyed the entire world with his stupid wishing stone thing that he absorbed. He should have been arrested immediately after that. Like, at least arrested. Nothing more. And taken away to, like, a special, like, super friend prison or something. Because really, no, he's a bad guy. Bad guy. Like 80s Superman should have showed up and said, all right, I have to take you to Arkham or something. Now, that would have been cool. Done that. They could have had Smallville Superman show up and go, well, I see that you've got back with her son, but afraid you've committed a horrible war crime and nearly killed half the planet. We're going to have to take you away to be locked up. But don't worry, Child Protective Services will take the kid. There's no. And the kid goes, well, it's just as well. He was totally evil anyway. Maybe he can go live with the cheetah lady. Yeah, when he gets out of prison in 110 years for nearly destroying the Earth and nuking it and stuff. He's practically Lex Luthor. Like, no, he's gonna be like, he's gonna be repentant at the end. It's like, no, he shouldn't be. It was funny that they had him like sobbing and stuff in the front line. What looked like the White House, but also kind of looked like parts of downtown Los Gatos. And I was like, for the Cal Cat scene in there. At the end. Anyway, so anyway, so no, I was not in that scene at the end. But there's a guy that looked sort of like, yeah, just to clarify that. And I was on the set of Flubber as well. I wasn't in it though. I was just on the set. It was in the classroom where a lot of Flubber was filmed in the classroom. San Jose State. So yeah. Also, it was Mad City. What's that? Yeah, Tom Cruise. I got to see Tom Cruise dramatically running across the street in slow-mo, coming back, running across the street. So what is that supposed to be? Oh, this is the scene where he dramatically runs from the library building to the courthouse. But it's literally right across the train tracks. There's like, no, it's Hollywood. It's okay. It'll look cool. It kind of didn't. It was literally St. James Park. And it was like, beep, Beep, beep. In a block. Not even a city block. Dramatically running slow-mo. He's not very tall, Tom Cruise. Does all these dramatic movies, but he's like 5'2" to 5'4" or somewhere. Platform shoes, you know. But yes, yeah. Well, they make Arnold Schwarzenegger look like he's like 8 feet tall, and he's 6'4", 6'5". He's tall, but he's not 8 feet tall. Yeah. Yeah. He was at that convention. The Terminator Dark Fate convention, which we had elements of. Also, oh yeah, that one, there's a connection to the Terminator movies. Yeah. The Sunnyvale Town Center Library building is the facade used in the action scene at the end when they were going to Skynet. There's this other building, it says online that it's this other building in Fremont, but they're wrong. It's the Sunnyvale Town Center Civic Center. It totally is. It's that building. There's another building that was part of the other part where Skynet flew by, so they're half right. So yeah, there's the Sunnyvale Town Center Civic Center. Is the sideways panel building going this way. That was being filmed in the 90s. We were there for that too. Yeah. So yeah, cool. But yeah, Hollywood magic, magic of Hollywood. Yeah. Anyways, I don't know if there's anything new being filmed now. Well, I did film the first 8 weeks of the COVID thing as a blog. Oh. Anyway, yeah. Don't go to the theaters to see it. Watch it online. Stay safe. Don't get to So that was Wonder Woman 1984.